All right, you guys, Tax Cypher here. Hey, wanted to talk to you about a major refund opportunity that taxpayers must act to protect their rights. Um, this is coming down to the Kwong decision and its implications. So, it's a case that's kind of going on about the time period of COVID-19. The federal disaster was declared, and there's a lot of us that maybe been assessed penalties, interest. And this this court case is trying to make it to where we can get money back. And so this is especially why I'm doing this video is the guy that wrote this article says this situation highlights a core concern I have raised repeatedly. When relief exists but is difficult to access, taxpayers, especially those without representation, are at risk of losing benefits. So we're trying to get the word out on this. There is a deadline of July 10th, which is coming up here in a couple months. And so we're going to talk about it just a little bit, but just kind of running through this article, what this means for you. If penalties assessed for failure to timely file returns, failure to pay taxes, or failure to make estimated tax payments, you have interest that began accruing earlier than it should have or not at all, overpayment interest for the 2020 through 2023 disaster period. Those are things that we're looking at. So who could be affected? So this is a really good article. What we need to do. So I'm going to show you how to kind of start this today, but we have until July 10th, 2026 to file Form 843, which is a claim for refund and request for abatement. Because the law in this area is still being litigated, taxpayers should also consider filing protective claims to preserve their right to getting any refunds. So I want to just really go over, you might want to research more, but if you go to your IRS account transcripts, you can go and look up and see if you had any interest or penalties during that time frame of the COVID area, which is January 20th, 2020 is when it started and it ended May 11th, 2023. So if you have any interest or penalties, then this is something that you want to go in and research. But what we're going to do is we're just going to go over to, if you just go into your browser, irs.gov, and then you want to type in Form 843. You can come in here and have a claim for refund and request for abatement. And then we're also going to look at where to file because this isn't something that if we do get the refund accepted that they're going to electronically file or direct deposit those refunds. We're actually going to have to mail it in and have them send payments. So we're going to go in here, Form 843, and this is going to be the form that we're looking at. So what this form is, it's Form 843, claim for refund and request for abatement. And so there's certain ways that we need to fill this out, but I would definitely get familiar with this form if you have any interest in penalties. Just a two-page form. And then what I would recommend is just doing some research for yourself and getting an idea about the claim for the refund. There's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to charge big bucks to go through and see if you qualify for this and how to get it. But it's pretty simple that I feel like taxpayers can do for themselves. So we're not looking at anything for tax. We're looking on the penalty. We're looking for an abatement or refund of a penalty or addition to tax due for reasonable cause or other reason allowed under the law. So that's what this court case is doing, is it's talking about how, during the COVID period, we shouldn't have been charged any interest and penalties due because the relief started from January 20 all the way till May 11th, 2023. So we're looking at this penalty here, and I would read through these other ones, just be familiar with what's on the form. And then I'm liking this one right here, abatement or refund of interest due to IRS error, right there. So those are the ones I'm liking. And then you definitely want to go through, okay, caution. Do not use this form when you must use a different tax form. For example, do not use Form 843 to claim a refund or abatement of an overpayment of income taxes or an employer's claim for FICA tax or RTA tax or income tax withholding. Refund of excess taxes based on the non-taxable use of sales and fuels. So this is what we're looking at that we're filling out. You're going to put in the names, the address, city, and then down here, we're going to have to enter it for the tax period or fee year. prepare a separate Form 843 for each tax year period. So I think this is really important. So if you had penalties assessed in 21, 22, and 23, you want to fill out a form for each tax year. Amount to be refunded or abated. We may not know that exact amount right now. And then we're going to come down, indicate the type of fee or return, if any, filed to which the tax year, interest, penalty, or addition the tax relates. Checks only one box unless the exception applies. So we're just kind of looking at 1040 right now. So it'd just be personal tax returns, but there may be times where you have all these other forms that you could go in. And then next, we're going to have to look at the explanation why you believe this claim or request should be allowed and show you have computed the amount shown on line 2. If you need more space, attach additional sheets. There's plenty of space here. But I feel like, those are just the areas that we're going to need to be prepared to fill in. This other one, we could put something like protective claim pursuant to the long case. Something in there just to kind of specify. And then I would go into details here, kind of using that same verbiage. And just really give explanation. Everyone has a little bit different scenarios of obviously, but I'd be pretty, try to be as explicit as you can and explain everything that would be the reason why. And then you just want to make sure, under penalties of perjury, I declare that I have examined this claim, including accompanying schedules and statements, and to the best of my knowledge and belief, it is true, correct, and complete. Declaration of preparer. So you always want to make sure that we know that when we're signing these things that it's under perjury. So we want to make sure we're being legal and ethical in all things that we do and when we're filling in tax forms. Okay. So really looks like we just have to do those few things. So what I would do on your end is make sure that you're looking at your account transcripts. You can do this pretty easy now on the IRS website. Let me show you real quick. Once you're registered, you're irs.gov, and then you can just sign right into your account. It takes you to where you can look at your tax records right there. So I would just look at those few years, 21, and maybe look at 21, 22, and 23, see if you have any interest and penalties assessed. If you do, then I would go and I would maybe just do a little bit of research online. There's some good articles out there that they're estimating about tens of millions of taxpayers may be eligible for significant tax refunds if they act by July 10th. So this is very time sensitive. And then you would just need to fill out the 843 form. And if we do that, then the other thing is the lawsuit isn't complete yet, so this may take a couple of years still, but we want to get our name in line if we are due a refund. So hopefully this helps. Reach out if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.